I'm here today to talk about solar. If you're a homeowner and you've ever thought about installing solar, there's a lot of questions people have, like how much is it going to cost up front? I know that's a big issue. Is it how long is it going to take to get your money back? Is your roof compatible? And things like, cloud cover and seasonality issues. Is it actually going to work for your home? So I'm here with a friend of mine, Mike Stewart. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Corey.
Who actually had solar installed on his house. So he is going to tell me about all of his experience so that you guys can know about whether or not solar makes sense for you. So my first question, Mike, is why did you decide to do solar?
I decided to do solar, Corey, just because I wanted to be, ecologically sound and helpful with the climate. And then one of the things that started all this was I needed to get a charger for my plug-in hybrid car. That's
a common thing. I'm hearing that more and more as I go out and sell houses. People need to install the electrical for their hybrid cars. And so that's a process, right?
Yes. And then did you know that the village also is requiring to have that electric in your garage if you ever put up a new garage in Oak Park now?
Really? I didn't even know that. See, Mike knows more than I do about a lot of it.
It's a new requirement.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So you have to have that if you do a new garage. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's Oak Park, always forward thinking, I think.
Yeah.
So you did, so the ecological, sort of the conservation benefits, right? The lower carbon footprint was a big reason for you?
Yes.
Okay. And have you been thinking about doing this for a while? Has this been on your mind?
Probably about 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was money another part of it? Was that at all in your calculus of why you decided to do the solar?
Definitely. The ComEd bills keep going up. So I'll probably, I'll save a lot on my monthly ComEd bill, but it'll take a while before the system really will pay for itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that's a big question for people. It's like, how long is it going to take to get my money back? I know we are not going to talk about all the details of solar. There's a lot of ins and outs. Like you can buy the system outright, right? Or you can lease it. There's, depending on your situation, there's positives and minuses to both of those things. But so enlighten me, like when you said, okay, I'm gonna look into this. How did you start the process? What was your first step?
I actually got calls from other people asking me, if I wanted a quote. My brother-in-law, who lives in Baltimore area, he got that too. So he got me thinking about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Years and years ago.
Okay. Yeah. And did you do any research on your own, or did you start by just calling the companies and getting quotes and stuff?
I did do some research online too. Yeah, but the companies that gave us quotes were very knowledgeable on the subject.
So tell me, how many companies did you interview?
I interviewed at least 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were the prices like pretty similar?
The prices were pretty similar.
Okay.
Yes.
So what made you go with this company versus the other ones?
I went with this company just because of their expertise.
Okay.
I mean, this company has been doing it for a long time. They've been doing it here in the Oak Park area and the surrounding areas. A friend of mine referred me to them too.
Okay. Referrals, everybody.
Yes. So he also had an electric car. So he also referred me to them to do the underground service to my garage for a plug-in charger.
So what's the name of the company?
Capital Electric.
Capital Electric. And Mike, you highly recommend them, right?
I do, just based on their expertise.
Yeah. And so did they help you? I mean, one of the things that I had actually thought about getting solar on my house, and it's like, is your house specifically, does it make sense, right? I mean, you have a house next to you. Every site is completely different, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many panels did you put up, right? So how did they... How did they do that with you? Like, how did they walk you through that?
They did a really nice market analysis of, the solar on my roof, how many panels would generate a specific kilowatt hours versus they asked me how much I would use. They looked at my last ComEd bill. They wanted to know if I had an electric car and how many miles I put on that. And they looked at the surrounding trees. They did radiuses of the trees.
Okay.
And they came up with a situation, too, with different price points. They said, we could still add a few more panels based on, your layout and where the sun shines. But it's like, here's the price for those additional panels. And you decide what level you want to go at and what you can afford.
Yeah, right. Was there a minimum that they had, that you had to have a minimum number of panels?
There wasn't a minimum, but there's a minimum whether it makes sense to really
financially do it, right?
Do that or not.
So we had talked now with your situation, like, because everyone's is going to be different.
Yeah.
How much energy you use, the location of your house, how much sun you get.
Yeah.
So for you, what is your estimated payback where you are back to square one. You return, where you get back your money, right? Like,
the system should pay for itself after incentives and tax incentives. Should pay for itself in a little over 7 years.
Awesome.
Now, I've owned this home for over 27 years, so that's kind of a longer process for me, if we stay here another 7 years or not. But I just hope it'll be valuable for the next homeowner that buys this too.
Yeah, right.
But I want to take advantage of this while I'm here also.
Yeah, right. And this will all transfer to the new owner, right? Everything
will.
is transferable to the new owner.
It
right?
will.
Okay.
Including the 25-year warranty on the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that? The expected life? Is that what we're looking at for expected life of the system? About 25 years?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully longer than that, but that's the warranty.
Yeah. Okay. I forget what I was going to ask you. So, let me walking through. You said when did you start this? When did the seed get started? Right? Like when did you actually start this process? And tell me some of the pitfalls that happened along the way and some of the things that you weren't maybe expecting.
So I started the process of getting quotes. Probably the last couple of years, and I looked at them. I didn't. A lot of it's almost like reading up on a foreign language. What are the kilowatt hours? What does this mean? What do these credits mean? But this company was really good. They assigned me one of the professionals that just deals with solar to call us and talk to us and walk us through this, answer all of our questions. And you're going through a 13-page analysis and quote on the whole process. Right. So this company was very good about that and very good about follow-up with that.
Cool.
And like I said, the idea really came out of the fact where I had them come out and give me the quote on the underground electric for the garage. And then he talked about other things that they do. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So in terms of incentives, that's the thing I know. The thing is incentives change, right? Yeah.
Sometimes local governments will do incentives. Sometimes ComEd will have incentives. Sometimes the states, sometimes the federal government. So this changes and stuff. But can you, to the best of your remembrance, what percentage wise of the project did you not have to pay for? Did you get incentives for?
So for the electric to my garage and with the car charger there, ComEd had a really nice incentive for that. I'm not sure if that's still going on. You'll have to check the records. But I got over a $3,000 incentive. Nice. So probably more than half the charge cost for all the new equipment and the underground electric to the garage through ComEd working with Capital Electric. And I didn't have to front the money either.
Yeah. And was that similar for the solar panels though too? Because there's like tax incentives. I think there's actual ComEd. You know what I mean? There's lots of different incentives, right? Yeah. Do you remember? Did you utilize more than one incentive?
I did. Yeah. There's SREX credit that they write me a check for, probably just under a third of the project cost. And then there's income tax credits that I can put towards my 2024 income taxes. And, all these different incentives over the years, as well as the lower ComEd bill. For, for 25 plus years. Which,
And we know they're just going up.
Right.
What I mean? They're just going up.
But I mean to say that there's a 7-year payback, that was okay in my books. Yeah. And I could change that based on the, number of solar panels. Right. I went with 20 solar panels.
20, okay.
So we got a payback, where it's a net zero cost in about over 7 years.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. One thing that happened with me when I looked to get solar panels is I have 3 layers of roof, 3 layers of shingles, and they told me that they couldn't do it. Now they're telling me they can. But I know a lot of people are worried that their roof or their specific house is not going to be conducive or where they can't install solar. Did you have any issues with retrofitting or anything that needed to be done to your roof to make this possible?
That's a great question, Corey, because that's one of the things that was putting me off doing this years ago. But then we just recently had a new roof put on. One of the things my brother-in-law did is he installed solar, and then he had to have a new roof put on. So they had to remove all the panels, new roof, and put it back on. They worked with him a little bit on there. Yeah. But it's definitely helpful to have a new roof or a newer roof before you start this process.
Yeah. That's very smart, because if your roof is 5 years and you're looking at having these panels on for 25 years and you only have maybe 5 more years on your roof, it might not make the most sense.
And our roof,
what I was worried about.
Yeah, and our roof was over 25 years old.
Yeah, so it made sense at the time to do them both.
That's important to look at for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing too, I mean, we are out on a very gray day right now, right?
Yeah.
And we are not in the most sunny place in the country. So I know another thing that people are worried about is that, okay, is it going to be reliable, right? And is it actually going to, make sense to do, because am I going to have enough sunlight days? So tell me that. I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but tell me how it works, like specifically for your house and in the climate, in where we are in the country.
They're really good about, calculating the averages and kind of laying it out for us. And they said that the months that you would expect, the warmer months are the sunniest, so really for the year, you're really going to gain more solar and credits back to ComEd from April to September. The other months still generate solar and power and that kind of thing. But since they just installed this, about a month ago, this is kind of a darker time, a darker season.
Yeah, right.
So, but they really take the averages throughout the whole year, and they do a great job explaining that.
So they account for that.
They do.
You know what I mean? So your 7-year period, they account for the number of days and things like that they don't anticipate a lot of sun and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the last things I want to ask before we actually look at the system a little bit is what happened. Tell me a little bit about things that happened that you weren't expecting along the way. Looking back, that you were just like, anything happened that, like I know we talked a little about the village, right?
Yeah.
Permitting process, how did that go?
The permitting process was a little bit more intense than other processes I've gotten permits for.
Okay.
Like we had to get a permit for the underground electric, and that was fairly fast. But for the solar, I think it took a good, 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
And they submitted engineering plans to the village. The village came out on multiple occasions to make sure there's all installed correctly and up to snuff and everything like that. So that was a little bit more lengthy than I thought it would be.
And any installation issues? Were there any installation snags or any hiccups that happened?
No, I mean, it really took them about, a day and a half for installation. You were here for part of it. I was here for
part of it, and I was going to ask. It only took like 2 days, right?
It went really quick.
Yeah.
Once it got okay and everything, the installation went really smooth and really quick.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. How backed out are the companies? I mean, when you were like trying to book this, are they backed out? Like sometimes you call the doctor and it's like, yeah, we can't get you in for 6 months or something like that. Right?
I think a lot of the quotes I got before was with the old roof. So I really didn't get the timing on that.
Okay.
But I know what you really have to keep an eye on. And if you call these companies, you really have to find out what the incentives are and if there's any deadlines. If there's a window that's closing on a certain deadline or incentive, you need to find that out from the get-go.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to a homeowner that's thinking about, hey, I might want to look into solar? What advice would you give to them?
I would call around, at least 3 companies, get some quotes, ask them their expertise, ask them their experience, ask them about the warranty, and also talk to other homeowners.
Yeah.
I know they have an event coming up at the village on December 9th or something like that, an open house regarding climate. And I saw some houses, too, around the village that says, ask me about my solar installation and that kind of thing. Because you really want to talk to other homeowners, too, more than just the salespeople.
Absolutely.
Those are my 2 big recommendations.
Yeah, I've heard bad things about some of the companies, and you never know, you know what I mean? And so, you just got to do your diligence as a homeowner and everything. So.
Definitely.
All right, Michael, listen, thank you so much. Now, we are actually going to go take some shots of the solar panels and the electrical associated with this, all right?
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Mike. We were on Mike's roof where they actually installed the solar panels. So I wanted Mike to tell us a little bit. He was telling me about a critter thing that they installed here. But my one question is, so we're on the south side of the property. Are they always on the south side of the property, or do you know, can they be on both sides of the roof, or what was your experience with that?
I think they tend to be on the south side of the property.
Yeah, right.
But they know exactly where the most amount of light's going to be.
Okay.
And I think it can also go on a garage too in some cases.
Yeah, I've seen people have them on their garages as well. So if we can come over here, I wanted Mike, tell me about on the side here. So we actually, here are the 20 panels, right?
These are the 20 panels.
20 panels. We tried to get 20. We tried to get 23 for Michael Jordan, right? But it didn't work. So 20 panels here. Now, if you go zoom up close, what is that on the side there? That this thing.
This graded pattern right here is what they call a critter guard. So that's one of the choices I made. That was a little bit extra charge, and that's to to keep any of the squirrels or birds from nesting under there.
Okay.
Which would also, help with the warranty and the longevity of the system.
So this is something that you would like an add-on that you decided to do.
Correct.
Can you give me a ballpark? Just curious. Are you talking like $3,000 extra?
No. It was probably less than half of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
So
maybe 1,400.
Okay, to do the critter guard.
Yeah.
So okay. And did they really recommend that to you?
They didn't. Well, they told me about it when they saw the squirrel activities in my yard.
Right. Yeah.
And there is a lot of crazy squirrels in this area.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, we wanted to show you up here and actually on site what it looked like, and we got one more spot to check out, which is the electrical components of this thing.
Thanks, Corey.
All right. So we are here for the last part of the little solar tour at Mike's house. So we're here for the last part of the solar tour at Mike Stewart's house, and the last part of this that we're going to show you is the electrical part. So Mike, tell us what's going on here, because this is a lot of stuff that looks complicated and dangerous to me.
It's really not that complicated, and one of the things I asked them is, any of this makes noise at all? They said no, it's very quiet. Nothing, we don't hear any difference in the sound. One thing that we did decide to do is we had decided to upgrade our electric from 100 amp to 200 amp. We thought that might help with the resale also, but they had to install a disconnect for the electricity, and then we have a disconnect here for the solar, and then they also have the control box for the solar.
Okay.
One of the cool things about this control box too is it also integrates with the Wi-Fi, and then they have an app for this, so I can keep track of the savings and sending the electricity back to ComEd, and it's basically what I'm gaining in solar versus what I'm consuming, and I can track that by the week or by the month or annually.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool to have that on hand.
Yeah. So is there any maintenance that you need to do on this right here? Is there any maintenance that you need to do on this on a yearly basis, or is this basically sort of like this box here and your gas meter and stuff where you just forget about it? Is that sort of how it works?
According to my contract, I don't see anything about annual maintenance on this.
Okay.
And I think, it's been tested in the field for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And with a 25-year warranty on it, I'm pretty secure with that.
Nice.
But I don't know of any regular maintenance that I have to do.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so that is the last part of the solar at Mike's house that we're done here. And if you're thinking about solar, like I was talking to Mike, or Mike mentioned, he didn't do it just because of money. Money's a big part of it. But, in a place like Oak Park, a lot of people make decisions not solely based on that, but, based on the way that they want to live their lives and the footprint that they want to have on the earth. So, that is a big reason to do solar, and it saves you money at the end.
Definitely.
So anyway, so if you have questions about it, Mike just said that he would be happy to answer questions in the future. So feel free to put questions below in the comments if you have anything in particular. And thank you so much.
Thanks for coming out today, Corey.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right.